Good afternoon, everybody, and how's everyone doing out there today on this grand day of inauguration? So, exciting time in our country and peaceful transition of power, and here we go. Get back to running events and doing special things and raising money for a lot of our nonprofit clients. My name's Patrick Siver. I'm a owner and lead auctioneer at G Events, based here in Beaverton, Oregon. And really excited to have you join us today. We're going to talk. We started the show earlier this year. It was a personal commitment of mine to start live streaming. And the reason I chose to do that is that I found that over the last 9 months, 10 months, our industry of fundraising, auctions, and special events has changed so dramatically and so quickly, and is constantly evolving as we take on new challenges from our government, and whether we can gather, whether we can't gather, what our audiences are feeling about getting together. What has been a common thread has been that the nonprofits need our support more than ever. And so I decided that I was going to host this show weekly and talk about current trends and things that I'm seeing working. And hopefully you can tune in live or tune in to the recording. And we post it up on our YouTube page, they're on our Facebook page, and also on our Vimeo channel, all under G Events. And hopefully you and your organization can pick up a tip or two that will be helpful in making their event successful coming up here in the spring or the fall or in the near future. So thank you for joining. Really appreciate it, and want to ask if you're let you know that all you have to do is type in a comment. In the comment, I'll be able to see it here locally and be able to respond. I'd love to know where you're tuned in from today. Just type a comment, say hello, and let us know where you're watching from today. So thank you for being here. Today is today's topic is going to be what we call in the industry the run of show, or the ROS, if you will. And basically that is the run of show kind of shares with us what the agenda is for the event and how things are going to come together, and kind of the flow of the evening. And hey, Lynn, 888-888-666, thanks for tuning in on Twitch. Nice to have you here with us today. We are constantly looking at new elements and things that work in the run of show. We know from our experience over the last several months since we first started making these virtual galas back in March, that really we have about an hour's worth of time to spend with our guests that will tune in and watch our fundraising effort and our fundraising event. And we have lots of cool things to make sure that you're successful. Now, what I find is that I have a basic formula that I start with, and then we customize it for each client to fit their needs and to fit their audience. And so, with that being said, I wanted to share with you today just the basic, let's call it template, that we work off of when we start working with a client, and then we will modify it according to that organization and their audience to really make their event unique, but also to help them accomplish their goals. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you a little bit. This is just a simple spreadsheet that I created. I wanted to run through it and give you some feedback and some logic behind each of the different elements of the event and the run of show. And hopefully you'll find some things that are helpful for you. And please feel free, fire off a question. Happy to answer it, and be sure that we can get you off on the right foot. So basically, I started here with just the elements of the show. Okay. Are we going to have a paddle raise, a special appeal? The answer is yes. And how many live auction packages can we incorporate in this show? The one I'm going to show you today incorporates 5 packages, and the total time of the actual show itself is 1 hour. Okay. That seems to be kind of the magic number that we've seen, anywhere from 45 minutes to 1 hour. And a lot's going to happen in that time. And I think you'll notice as we go through this that it's not necessarily taking your former gathering event and putting it on television. There are some unique elements to the event, and there's some serious logic about what we're doing. And I just want to kind of share that with you today. You'll also notice on this one, we have a video count. This one is designed with 12 different videos in it. And I want to touch base on that right away, because a lot of you out there in the nonprofit worlds and event production think of videos and think, wow, lots of money, lots of headache and scheduling, and how do you do those videos today when there's social distancing and things of that nature. And the reality is that technology's improved so much, and so has people's technology skills, if you will, and the expectation of the viewer on our shows is not for it to be this incredibly well glossed, hyper exciting video production. It's more about the messaging that comes across in those videos. So a lot of times we'll use cell phone footage, allow people to record a message on their cell phone. People are getting really adept at this with, from doing selfies and TikTok and all the different tools that are out there now in social media that people enjoy using. But we can also bring them into a virtual studio, possibly through using something like we are today with StreamYard. Is a great opportunity to bring in your speakers and pre-record their statement and their endorsement of your organization. So anyhow, we'll talk more about videos as we go along here, but this one shows 12 different videos in the run of show. So let's get started. You'll notice I have a couple of different columns here. One is length. That is in real time. So that first row there, 30, means 30 seconds, right? So it's hour, minutes, seconds. So that sizzle reel, you can see in the tech notes that that's a video, and you can see that the action is sizzle reel, and that's 30 seconds. So you'll notice that on each of the items as we go along. If for some reason you would like a copy of this, please go ahead and direct message me. Reach out to me at patrick@geventsllc.com, and I'd be more than happy to forward you a PDF of this file to kind of get you up and running. So I see we've had a few more people join us. So type in a comment if you've got a question you'd like me to answer through the process today. Feel free to fire off a question in the comment box. At worst, let us know where you're tuning in from today. So love to see where everybody is joining us from and say hello. So let's go through the agenda here, the run of show. I like to start off with a 30-second sizzle reel, something that's kind of exciting, a lot of action, get people fired up, kind of really showcase the organization. If it's a school, obviously a lot of pictures of kids and smiles and teachers and different things like that. If the organization is whatever the organization does, I think it's a great opportunity to showcase some of the beneficiaries and the people, the volunteers, and people having a good time. And it reminds everybody of what they're supporting for the program. And it doesn't need to be fast. I mean, it doesn't need to be overly produced. Just quick 30 seconds. Kind of an opening sizzle reel to get everybody's attention. And then we roll right into a welcome message from the event's leadership. And this is a pre-recorded message. You're going to find that in probably 90% of the shows, 95% of the shows that I've produced since March, that the only live content is going to be the MC and myself in a studio, or in our own personal studios, wherever we're doing, if we're doing it remotely. The rest of the content is going to be pre-recorded. So I think it's fun to kind of kick off a welcome message to these events, maybe from the auction chair or the principal, or someone who's kind of popular in the community, maybe the founders of the organization, and something casual, sitting on their couch, getting ready to watch the show. It would be kind of the theme of it. Maybe raising a glass and thanking everybody for tuning in, and to also let them know how important and how appreciative that leadership person is of their support tonight. So that's pretty quick. And then you kick into the MC and the auctioneer. They're going to have their welcome comments. They got about 3 minutes here. Really kind of give folks a preview of what to expect in the show this evening with respect to explaining the agenda. Also, we have to take a moment to explain how to participate, right? We want to make sure that they know to go to the organizational's website, click on the link. Chances are good that they already know these things because they've found the live stream, right? So if they found the live stream, chances are real good they know how to participate. But I think it's always good to go ahead and give a quick refresher. This can be done through a video. It can be done with some slides as to what the screens look like to them, whether you're using auction software, whatever you're using, and how they participate. Encourage them to maybe use the chat window if that's something that's important to your organization. I find the chat window can be a distraction unless you're really using it to raise funds. In other cases, some organizations feel strongly that it's a great interactive tool for the participants and for the audience to be able to engage with each other. We just want to make sure that we don't lose their attention on why we're gathering, which is the fundraising element of the evening. And then I kick it right away from there to the executive director or the board chair with a compelling message. They have an opportunity to speak really for about 4 minutes, would be about the max time that I would encourage there. If they're shorter, that's great, but they can be about 4 minutes would be about the time that we would allocate here. And I think there's really 3 key elements that we want that person to communicate for us. And first and foremost, I find in all these events, whether they're gathering or they're virtual event, is that many of the people that are tuning in have been supporting that organization for a long time. So first and foremost, I encourage our speaker at this point, our executive director, our board chair, to thank the viewers for their past support. I don't believe that you can say thank you enough. And so giving them a big thank you right from the get-go. Hey, as we gather again this year, I want to thank you for your incredible support over the years and being here with us again tonight. And then the first thing after that is to acknowledge the accomplishments related to the giving from the past event. So I think that you've thanked them for their donations in the past, and now it's important to share with them that you have been good stewards of their donations and let them know what you accomplished in the last year. Now, obviously, 2020 was a unique year, and maybe what we said we were going to do at the 2019 event or maybe the 2020 event, whether it was in person early in the year or virtual after that, maybe those priorities for the organization change, that many of the organizations have had to evolve the way that they provide their services, many move into virtual, many have identified that their need is expanded and the demand for their services has grown dramatically. But share with the folks what you did with the money they gave you a year ago. I think that's crucial in building their trust and their confidence. And then thirdly is ask for their continued generosity and give them a sense of what you foresee in the future and what you foresee that you need their support tonight for and at today's event. And so explaining that to the folks, I think is real helpful. Coming from the leader of the organization, whether it be the executive director or the board chair, I think carries a lot of weight with the audience, that they know that these folks are going to be doing some great things, and they've heard it right from the top as to what's going to happen with the dollars that they are looking to provide. So thank them for their past donations, give them an opportunity to know what you did with the money, and then what you're going to do with the money that you received this evening and how important that is. So as we move forward, we want to go ahead and from there go back to the auctioneer And at that point, we want to, I jumped a little bit there, my apologies. From there, we want to go back to our MC, our auctioneer, comment on what was said. I've had about 2 minutes here and reinforce the mission and the purpose for the fundraising this evening, and then go ahead and intro your appeal video. Now, your appeal video really kind of showcases the success of the organization, showcases the success of what you're up to and where you see it's going to go in the future. And that should be no more really than about a 4-minute video. And then from there, we're going to roll right into the special appeal or the paddle raise. And this is different for folks here in the Pacific Northwest. For many, many years, the standard run of show has been to do our live auction first and then do our appeal. If our live auction was large, let's say over 10 packages, then a lot of times we would go about 2/3 of the way through that live auction, and then we would insert the paddle raise and the special appeal. But in this new virtual world, we want to get the ask out there right away, because that's what the majority of the audience can participate in, right? Everybody on the other side of the camera, on the recipient end of that video, can hopefully support your organization. And I think it's crucial to get that question out there and get that ask out there right away, okay? To let them know that you need their support. And so with that being said, we put the appeal at the front of the program before the live auction. What I do here, and I think this is a key to success, is you'll see that I talk about acknowledging advance gifts. And what I mean by that is I call those pre-commits, okay? And in the past, in a gathering event, auctioneers like myself were always interested in knowing what the leadership gift was going to be when it came time for the paddle raise. And what we meant by leadership was, what is that highest amount that we're going to have in the room? What are those largest amounts that we're going to start when we ask for? We want to ask for an amount that we know is in the room. In other words, we're not going to ask for a $10,000 donation if we don't know there's a $10,000 donation in the room, right? If we get told it's a $5,000 donation, then our first level of asking will be at the $5,000 level. Now, fast forward to this new world of virtual events, and no longer are we looking just for that leadership amount. We want amounts at all levels. And the reason I say that, the reason I think that's important, is because we're trying to recreate that energy that is in the gathering event during the appeal. I think many of our guests go to a special event, to a gathering event, with a number in their mind. They know they've been invited to go to this event. It's one of their favorite organizations, or it's the favorite organization of the person who invited them. And they know that, hey, I'm going to raise my bid paddle at $100 or $250, whatever is appropriate in their to show their appreciation for being included that night. Now, what happens is they get to the event and we get the energy going, and we've shown this great video that was the appeal video that got people motivated, and all of a sudden we start asking for dollars, and they see bid paddles go up in the air around the room, and they get caught up in the moment, and all of a sudden they realize, wow, this is a greater cause than I thought. This is I see so-and-so that I know that has raised their bid card at $1,000. Wow, that's awesome. I feel as strongly as they do. I aspire to be like them. I think it's a legitimate cause. I want to be a part of that club. And so they raise their bid card at 1,000 as opposed to maybe the 100 or the 250 or the 500 that they originally did. I think it speaks volumes about your organization when others are supporting it. And we can't see those bid cards, right, necessarily through a virtual event. So what we like to do is we like to reach out to groups, to individuals who have supported the cause in the past, and ask them for an advance commitment to make a donation so that we can acknowledge them. So you'll notice right here where it says acknowledge advance gifts, and I just use some numbers for fun, but $1,000 and above. So I might say something like, Folks, as we come together to make a collective gift, I'm so excited to announce that we have received several gifts in advance of tonight's program. And I want to thank the Smiths and the Jones and the Johnsons, all with gifts of $1,500, and the Jensens with a gift of $5,000. This is fantastic, folks. Thank you so very, very much for your unbelievable generosity. Friends, if you're in a position to make a gift of $1,000 or more, now is the time. If you could grab that bid paddle, your cell phone, click on the donate button, and make a gift that's meaningful to you and your family in support of our nonprofit organization tonight. I want to give you a couple of minutes to do that. And while I do, I want to introduce you to someone who will benefit from your support tonight. Now, what I did there was I used the pre-commits to motivate others, right? To inspire them that, hey, all these other folks are giving in advance, right? They've already given. I want to be a part of that club. I want to support this organization. And then I want to give them an opportunity to make that donation, right? Whereas traditionally, I would be reading off those bid cards in a gathering event, saying, I want to thank bidder number 123, thank you. Bidder number 674, thank you. Well, we can't do that in the virtual, at least not initially, right? So what I tend to do is I like to insert what I call testimonial videos to replace the bid calling, okay? And those testimonial videos could be beneficiaries of the organization, whether it's children at a school, whether it's young people in a parks program, whether it's people with disabilities who are receiving special services, whatever it is, okay? Those people having an opportunity to share in a quick 60 to 90 second spot what a difference the organization has made in their life, right? And then I always encourage my clients when they're shooting those videos to make sure that the person that's making the testimonial ends the video with a thank you to all the supporters and the donors who are making this organization possible and changing the lives of folks like themselves, okay? Now, it could be a beneficiary. It could also be a volunteer, someone who gives their labor and their support to help the organization. They can tell the audience what great things they've witnessed and how they've seen the impact of those donations. You can also have other donors. A lot of times, another donor is a wonderful opportunity. Maybe it's that key board member. Maybe it's someone that has been giving for many years at a leadership level, and give them an opportunity. Kind of, it's a way for the organization to thank them by asking them to do a video, sharing with the audience why they support, but it can also be inspirational to the audience. Why that individual or that company supports this cause. So you'll see where I insert testimonial videos there, because a lot of auctioneers, when we made the move to this virtual world and we started live streaming, they were extremely sensitive to what we call technology-wise is latency. In other words, the time that expires from when I say something where I'm located on one end of the camera to when it actually hits or arrives at the viewer's location, okay? Now, we know from the different platforms that this could be anywhere from maybe 10 to 30, 40 seconds, okay? And for some people, that's a big issue. Me personally, I'm not so concerned about that as I am concerned about the amount of time it takes to have that viewer actually respond, okay? How fast do they actually grab their cell phone and click on the donate button, select the right amount? Do they have communication with the people, maybe their spouse or significant other that they're sitting on the couch watching with? All sorts of things to keep in mind there. So that's why I like to have that testimonial video, because then what happens is that in the studio or at home, if I'm doing it from here, from my home studio, I have a monitor with the auction software on it, and I can actually see in real time when people actually make donations. So when we come back from that testimonial video, one of the first things that you will see is that we are going to acknowledge any new gifts, right? And then if there are new gifts, we acknowledge them. If there are not, then we're going to go ahead and start acknowledging additional advanced gifts, right? So we're going to kind of move to the next level. And we do this, I like to see us grouping. In a gathering event, we used to think that we'd like to touch on no more than 5 to 6 different levels. I would tell you in the virtual event, I really like to see, I call it 3 groups, where in this example here, I've gone at $1,000 and above, then $250 and above, and then $50 and above, right? Because what I see, at least my experience has been so far since March, has been I don't see a lot of what I call surprise large gifts, okay? In other words, if we were in a gathering event and I asked for a $5,000 donation and I knew there was one in the room, I would be optimistic and most times correct that someone that we didn't expect to raise their bid card at $5,000 will do that, okay? In the virtual world, I don't see that near as often, okay? What I do see is a lot of smaller gifts. In fact, I see a lot of gifts at a level below what I would have traditionally gone to in a standard gathering event appeal. In other words, if my last level of ask would have been maybe $250 or $100, I see a lot of folks in these virtual events maybe donating $25, maybe $50. Sometimes I see $5, right? But we know that all the dollars matter and every dollar counts, and so we accept those donations for sure. And a lot of times I will acknowledge their gift if it's maybe a traditional level, 500, 1,000, something along those lines. I'll actually acknowledge the gift by name and the amount. If it's a smaller gift, maybe I'll just acknowledge their name. Thank you, Jim, for your generous gift, as opposed to thanks, Joe, for your $1,000 gift, right? Because I like to use those larger numbers to encourage people. At the same time, we want to thank everybody that's able to support the event. And I think a lot of times, because there's no barriers to entry in this virtual event world, right? We didn't have to buy a ticket. We didn't have to get a babysitter. We didn't have to get a new outfit. Didn't have to have our hair done. Didn't have to tie a tie. And, whatever those things are. I think our barrier to entry is lower. And so consequently, we end up with a new demographic of folks that we didn't traditionally have in the ballroom, right? And so that's a subject for a whole another episode of Fundraising Bidness Talk, but it's definitely interesting to watch the different levels that we go to today, okay? And then as we go along, you can see I do those testimonials. I had 3 of them in there. And then we start to move into our live auction. And as we move into that live auction, kind of the format that I like to see is that we have opened all the online bidding 1 week prior to our live streaming event, okay? And so people have had an opportunity to bid both on traditional silent auction packages, but also had the opportunity to bid on live auction packages. Now, I know that's somewhat unique, right? But once again, I think it's risky to rely on that viewer that's their first opportunity to bid, that they're going to bid, right? I'd rather have a sense of people have been able to bid for a week, and so we have a pretty good sense of where the number is, right? And we know we're going to sell it, okay? So what I'll do is use a format where I'll have the MC introduce a package. For example, let's say we have a package. It's a week-long stay at Cannon Beach in a private home that sleeps 8, and it's can be booked throughout the year. And it's a gorgeous place within walking distance of restaurants and the beach. And hey, this is great. And then they'll turn to me and say, Patrick, where's the bidding now? And at that point, I know, once again, because of the auction software, I know what the bidding is at. So I'm able to say, looks like Jim is now at $3,500 for this week-long stay in Cannon Beach. That is fantastic. However, We want to give everybody a chance to place their last and final bids, right? I see that John was in at 32.50. You need to be at 37.50, John, to beat out Jim. And now's the time, folks. Let's go ahead and place your last and final bids. And while you do that, I'd like to introduce you to someone who's going to benefit from your support tonight. So I interject where I normally would have been talking fast. 100 out of bid net 2, net 2, net 2, 100 out of bid net 3, and 300 out of bid net 4. Where I normally would have been taking bids, now I've inserted a video so we can showcase the message of the organization while those folks have an opportunity to make those last bids. I would not want to, be begging, basically begging for bids in a virtual event, right? When I don't know if I'm going to get any or not. Okay. So when we come back from that testimonial, now all of a sudden I can acknowledge, hey, the bidding's been fast and furious. And if I've got something, I can play along with it and say, hey, folks, Jim, you're at 37.50, and Joe, you need to be at 4,000. There's 4,000, and now I need 42.50, and I got for a new player at 42.50. I can go and play that game, and we can do that. But if I haven't received any new bids, I'm going to go ahead and sell it, right? And so it's fantastic. This system seems to work really well for me, and my clients have been very successful over the last 9 months. So as we go through the final package, as you can see, there's room for about 5 packages here in the live auction. And then last and foremost, we're going to thank folks and then close the show. Now, as we get ready to wrap up this fundraising business talk, I want to stress that this is just a base, right? This is just a template that is designed to be customized, right? If you want to add things to the front, add things to the back, you want to do things a little bit differently, you want to put in a raffle. Raffles are fantastic in these events, and there's electronic tools out there that we can use to execute. I love wheelofnames.com. It's an app that you can take a list of people that bought tickets, let's say, and you can copy and paste it right into the app, and you can spin the wheel, right? Just like the Wheel of Fortune. You can spin the wheel of names, and it'll select a winner for you. It's random. It's all the great things. So raffles are fantastic. The other thing I want to talk about here is something we implemented with the first one I did back in March 11th, actually. We were on a really quick turnaround. We found out March 9th that we were going to move to virtual, and did it on Wednesday, March 11th at 7:30 in the morning. It was a breakfast event we were doing. But one of the things that I was really concerned about is I think that a lot of the people who tune into these events are not traditional live stream viewers, right? I think that they're your audience, okay, that have come to your gathering event in the past. Maybe this whole concept of live streaming is new to them, right? They haven't used YouTube to watch a program in the past. They haven't put it on their smart television using the web browser, whatever it is, right? And so I think they tune in early. And so there's an opportunity for you to what we call a pre-show. We'll run a pre-show, usually open up the window, start pushing, as we say in the industry, about anywhere from 30 to 15 minutes in advance. Now, traditionally, I would tell you that my mindset has been to have kind of an auto advancing PowerPoint in place, maybe showcasing the organization, cool pictures of kids, maybe some thank yous of sponsors, tips on how to bid, maybe showcasing some of the auction packages, something along those lines. Now, I have seen some incredibly creative ideas, right? I have seen virtual happy hours where you'll have a virtual bartender or mixologist who will walk the audience through making a special cocktail. I've seen DJs playing, right? You want to be careful with the DJ that all the music is licensed, and when you start live streaming, depending on the platform, if you're going through YouTube or Facebook Live, some of the others, mainstream type of platforms, they have algorithms in place. When they recognize copywritten music, they will shut the program down if they do not have proof of a license. So I'd be a little careful with the live music. make sure you're using a professional who understands licensing, copyrights, and those types of things before you do that. But my only other sensitivity is that I do believe that our audience has an attention span. And when we put too much in that pre-show before we start asking for support, I think that we're burning time that we may not be able to keep them once the real show starts. And so I'm a little sensitive to that. I think that I would hate to see us put so much effort into the fundraising and be so reliant on the fundraising, and we threw a great party, but nobody donated, right? So I think we've all been to that event, right? So, be sensitive to it. I think it's great to engage the audience. I think there's cool ways to do a trivia contest. I've seen all sorts of fun stuff. Give away some swag. Use that wheel of names and give away, some commemorative glasses for the night, wine glasses, or whatever it might be. Give away, some hoodies or coffee mugs, or something along those lines to get people to be excited. I mean, I did an event last fall. We used the wheel of names to give away what I call swag, right? And in talking to one of the people afterwards, first thing they brought up to me was that people at their home were just cheering on, hey, spin the wheel again, right? They love those giveaways. So fun stuff for you. But I hope, right, that this has been helpful for you to kind of get a sense. You can see that an hour goes fast in these virtual events, and make sure you prioritize why you're doing the event, which was to raise money for your nonprofit, and that was what you did, and that you didn't distract or create situations that increased your risk of not being successful. We want to make sure that we're successful. So I encourage you, if you end up with some questions after watching today's program, please feel free. Shoot me a direct message, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. Also, feel free to send me an email at patrick@geventsllc.com. Love to chat with you, answer your questions. Bottom line is, I want to see you be successful in this environment, and have an opportunity to maximize your opportunities. The last thing I do want to say, I meant to bring this up, with respect to these testimonial videos. One of the things that I love about these is that they are a terrific tool to utilize after the event. Pull out those testimonial videos and use them for individual social media posts, and connect them to your donate button on your nonprofit organization. You can easily make those great testimonial videos that will motivate others to give and to support your organization. I've had a couple of clients that have done a great job at that, and it's been incredibly rewarding for them and their organization to be able to use this. So in the industry, we call it repurposing the video. I cannot stress enough the value of that with these virtual events, is that you're coming up with content. I encourage you to leave your live stream broadcast, allow people to replay it, whether it's on your YouTube channel, whether it's on your organization's website. You just cannot say enough about the value of that live stream event. It goes way beyond the night that you show it. And it's just a really powerful tool for you. And we're continuing to learn more and more about how to maximize that. And that's another reason. Hope you'll tune in next week to Fundraising Bidness Talk, as we have a really special guest next week, a client of G Events. We did her virtual event last fall. I remember talking to her in the spring when we were checking in, and her talking about she had no idea they were going to have to cancel their event. They had a traditional gathering event, and they were so overwhelmed with the demand for their services for their organization based on COVID and the impact of the pandemic, that she just could not imagine allocating the time to do a gathering event. And if the government wasn't going to allow her to do it, then she was going to have to skip it, but she didn't know what she was going to do with the funding. missing the funding. And we talked about virtual, and she put her trust in myself and our company. And we produced an incredible event together. And it's been incredibly rewarding to see. And Diana will be here next week at this time at noon on Wednesday. That's noon on the Pacific time zone, West Coast, to share her story and tell us a little bit about the experience that she had making the move from a gathering event to a virtual event, and the unbelievable benefits that she never imagined that she's actually experienced. So thanks so much for tuning in today. Really, really appreciate you being here. Feel free to reach out anytime. Love to hear your questions. Love to help you out. Talk to you about your event individually is also great. You let us know. Until next week, remember, the last bid always wins. Have a great day, folks.